My name is Theo Janidis, and I'm a senior lecturer in digital marketing, and this is Future Marketing and Transformational Technology. Welcome. So, for today's session, what we're going to talk about, I'm fixing the mic here so you can hear me better, hopefully. For this session, we're going to be able to see why the data cloud economy is an important area. Many people, misunderstand what's the data cloud economy. There's going to be a supplementary video, a second video, which actually is going to cover, some examples and some case studies. But here we're going to look at the concept as a whole, because this grew out of proportion in the last few years, and many people think that AI was an invention on its own. It's not. It's a complementary invention, and basically the artificial intelligence, in order to operate, needs something. It needs a memory, it needs a short-term memory, and it needs some sort of processing unit. The processing unit is the one that actually generates the outcomes, but the short run and the long run memory, we call it data lake in data. In the data industry, data science industry, and the data lake is the one that contains all the information. This information cannot be on hard drives, cannot be, owned in USBs here, there, and everywhere. It has to be in servers, and needs to be in network servers that actually connected with others. Because one of the issues is the size of the data set, and the second issue is how the capacity to store and process it. So processing happens elsewhere, storing happens elsewhere, and then there is a network that needs to connect these, and the speeds of connectivity also, it's another relevant factor. So when we get all this information in our head, we understand that artificial intelligence is not just the intelligence, it's the data set. So artificial intelligence without data, it's, a Ferrari without petrol. There's nothing to run the car. It's in a fancy car that has no way to actually operate. So same thing goes with AI. So, and that's what I'm saying here is, if AI is an important thing for digital marketing or marketing in general, the future of marketing, then it's very hard to actually think that without data, because, it's been hyped. AI has been hyped and it's been discussed around the world, and it's a very important topic. However, everybody needs to understand that what you see, it's the interface. Another myth to dispel is everybody talks about LLMs. It talks about this LLM, that LLM, and nobody's actually highlighted that LLM is just, the large language models are just another framework, another algorithm, which is more intelligent, more complicated, and perhaps more independent. But the difference here is that, these LLMs are user interfaces. Because before, to access AI, you need coding, and you need to interact in coding terms, in a coding language. So you need to actually translate human language into coding language to be able to actually perform tasks. So the breakthrough here was that we are able to either use language in terms of text format, talk to it, and have some intelligent interaction in a timely manner. Because think about this in speeds, terms, because the dataset is in a silo somewhere, then the processing happens elsewhere, and the user is in the third place. This could be as far away as possible. And when you're actually having an interaction with these types of platforms, what you find is that the infrastructure is working in terms of capacity, and of course the fastest and the most efficient and productive. So first of all, the response to happen in a timely manner, because say hello, and then you wait 3 days for hello, start conversation to go forward as not very productive. So, but the other thing is you need an intelligent conversation. You're going to have some input and you want some output. So this has to happen in a timely manner. So if you have three elements of the equation in different locations with, connect with fast networks. I'm not talking here your average broadband, or fiber optic. We're talking about advanced, very fast networks. Then you expect this to happen in lightning speed, accelerate, because in that case, you don't have a very productive conversation, you don't have a productive outcome, and this is not a good tool. So for these things to happen in the past, these are the main, let's say, I'm not, talking now, I'm talking now in terms of, common sense. This is not an introduction that's in any way scientific or complicated. But the idea for these three different types of tools to come together and form a way for for everyone to interact with AI. So we have the data lake and the data storage centers. We have the data processors, and then we have the LM interface, and then on top of that we have the user. So the user is the customer or the client, and then all these are elements of the process. And then within that, we have data. The data could be documents, could be audio, could be video, could be whatever. And of course, the capacity of these processing units increased over time because they started, working with low-level text, then formatted text. Then they were looking at huge amounts of text. At the same time, they started, working with converting text to images or text to video. Then they started having a mix of inputs like video, text, and image in order to produce something. So that's what I'm saying to you is with that introduction, is completely underestimated, very well misunderstood, and it's hidden completely behind a huge, thick, grey cloud of hype about AI. AI is a cluster of things, as not the one thing. And when you talk about LLMs, this is not new kind of AI. This is an interface, same as the keyboard and the mouse, that allows you to interact using your language, and it understands language. So it's a translator, let's put it this way, between you and the machine. And then, of course, and that's a two-way, that's the great thing. So imagine a person how can a person can be intelligent or educated if they are not able to communicate with their environment, both in terms of language, but both in terms of sensing. Because another element, we can actually put there are sensors. So there are physical sensors that allow AI to interact with our physical environment, to take things, readings as temperature, gravity, other things. So LLMs is nothing other than these sensors there. So basically, and this is what I'm saying is, when you're talking about AI and the use of AI, you talk about all these things. And when you talk about data, cluster is an important element. So let's start from the beginning. So there is an element of an economic element and a layer around data, and it's important because in order for the first the development happened as we talked about it, and most of you will be in digital marketing practice. We talked about how marketing developed, and part of this journey is not only for marketing as for the whole other elements of economy. So to continue. This paradigm shift necessitates a robust and acceptable data architecture capable of harnessing the power of the cloud to deliver unprecedented levels of customer intelligence. Understanding and leveraging this new architecture is crucial for organizations aiming for exponential marketing return on investment in the coming years. Diagram, and here what we see is that we have external and internal. We have ETL and CDC, we have process, analyze, batch, real-time streams, data lakes, the data lakes that we talked about, and then we have different types of storage. We have so basically we have ingestion and integration of the first one. We have data democratization, security, unified data governance catalogs, and metadata management, registration frameworks, compliance, and then we have presentation, BI visualization, machine learning and AI, self-data discovery, and predictive analytics. All these are happening within the cloud. And this is one of the most important things, because the modern data architecture on the cloud diagram illustrates the integrated components essential for building data-driven enterprise. From real data ingestion to advanced analytics, AI-driven insights, each layer works in synergy to provide comprehensive view of customer behavior and market dynamics. This architecture is designed to be scalable, secure, and flexible, allowing businesses to adapt quickly to changing demands and extract maximum value. So this is an example of the, this is the end of the transactional reporting. So the time allocation, traditional, business intelligence versus data cloud. So in terms of the data collection, we see the traditional process, which is the orange, and the data cloud process. And we see the time allocation, and we can see that traditional is like, I don't know, let's talk about the data cloud process paradigm. It's much, much smaller. We're talking about, 10% of the overall engagement and time that's needed. Data clearing, exactly the same. Report creation, the same. Analysis. In the analysis, we see that a bit more time is taken, but of course, analysis is the processing of information, depending on the size. Okay. Then the decision making. We can see that in terms of decision making, it takes less time and action. But of course, that as intelligence becomes better, this gets transformed. So, but what we found out, according to this data, is that data remains critically incomplete, frequently inaccurate, and heavily siloed. There are severe limitations on driving superior, consistent customer experiences. Reports delivered after the fact, which then thing happen, this becomes history, and then after the analysis happens, in traditional format, we get the reaction. So basically, it happens, and when it happens after the fact is important, because that means that the reaction time is smaller, it's longer, and potentially not productive because things have changed by then. So 41% of the marketers time wasted professional time on low value and repetitive tasks due to manual data processing. And then 2 out of 5 real-time data marketers lack time data for crucial decision making, relying on outdated insights or intuition. So the data sets, I'm going to be adding them into the Notebook LM library that I'm going to release with you with this video online. So I'm looking forward for you to just engage with it, talk to it, hear to the podcast, explore it to find more information. So yeah, if you're interested to actually know about this data, it's going to be into the Notebook LM studio. So that all these data sets led to real-time intelligence. We needed to actually process this, and this is what happened yesterday. This is not something that happened today. So from what happened, what should we do now? So basically, a retrospective responding in past performance, okay, and then real-time decision support and automate actions. From just going away from the fact time, we're now looking at what do we do now, because real-time data says this happens now, and you have a reaction time right away. So basically, that allows you as a company to just minimize unproductive and unproductive reaction over a long time, and damages, etc., etc. So again, somebody asked me the other day, why this is important? Why can't we do it like the old times? I mean, internal data, we can have interviews, we can have surveys, we can have qualitative, quantitative. We can do it like we used to do, and, it was fine. It was working fine. Well, the problem changes when, you're living in a more volatile environment. Agility suggests that when you have difficulties and when you are in performance mode, you're able to avoid issues and problems in real time. Unfortunately, if you have a lag time, imagine if you're playing a game, a shoot 'em up game. Okay, it's a very good example. And you have a lot of lag. Your connection is really bad, and you press the trigger, and then you have to wait for 5 minutes for the shot to be fired. Now put that, problem there, and then try to actually competitively work with others that work in real time. I mean, this is a game not to be had and not to be engaged with again, because you don't have the connection. So when the environment around you runs in real time and you have many crises like pandemics, wars, problems with trade, all these things happening in real time and unfolding in real time, and people and some companies have the capacity to work in real time, then as a marketer, your reaction time has to be real time, or it's going to be very hard to manage this. And I'm saying that companies will be are eliminated as we speak because of this, because we're talking right now. So missed opportunities of personalization, wasted marketing budget to make it more relevant to marketing, budget of ineffective campaigns, inability to respond to changing customer behavior, and competitive disadvantage against real-time players. So the latency is paramount marketing killer in today's digital economy, because one of the things that it's been said since the beginnings of the notion of marketing, is that marketing is the nerve system of the organization. So if you have a nerve system that has a lag of communication, lag time problem and delay with the environment, then what potentially have is a body that cannot react to the real-time challenges, and there is a survival element there. Whether because if everybody's working like that, that's good. But if everybody is having now a real-time capacity to process problems, that's great. And UK, that is all manifested into the UK digital sovereignty mandate. That can be found in Their Majesty's website, and you can go and check it. For UK enterprises, the adoption of digital cloud technologies is not solely driven by performance optimization. It is a strategic mandate shaped heavily by geopolitical and regulatory requirements. Now, just to relate this, I was just saying there, COVID, wars, trade issues, conflicts, societal problems, just throw everything in the mix. And these keep on happening. And, it seems that after the economic crisis, we get crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis, the energy crisis. So the price going up, changing, being volatile, the price environment, cost of living, inflation, other economic indicators going volatile and going crazy. So as a business, you really need to have that. So basically, it's a strategic mandate, which means that the government says to the business, if you don't have it, you're going to have a big problem. So post-Brexit compliance requirements. UK organizations are embracing strategic technology shifts influenced by post-Brexit data compliance and increasing demands for the in-house control. So here we're not talking just having this. You need to have it as a nation. It needs to be protected, and it needs to be secured. Because one of the things we found, because of the conflict with the Ukraine-Russia conflict, we find ourselves exposed into a lot of attacks and cyber attacks. University was part of this attack. So this is a sovereignty framework. It's a requirement from the government. So strategic commitment to sovereign clouds. This architectural choice is integral to strengthening cyber resilient, modernizing operation in a compliant manner. Now, if you're a company and you do your marketing and you collect information about consumers, taking these data for processing in US, it's going to be an issue because these are UK customers. So there needs to be some, that's why this mandate is there. So these are the things and the questions that started being asked early doors with Google. So when you see people about Facebook and all the other, companies, this is the way they're going to solve this issue by, introducing sovereign digital clouds and clouds infrastructures. Because when you have that here in UK, it's ethical to run. When you take this data, it becomes a GDPR national issue, because you cannot take all this personal data and put it in China and put it in Turkey and put it in other countries, because it's cheaper to run. So the key implicators for C-suite: compliance serves as an architectural anchor. So here you need to actually start thinking of how you're going to do this, because in the beginning of this session we said, well, you have these, it doesn't necessarily be in the same area. Yes, but it has to be in the same country, because this country, or in the same supernatural entity, like in the EU, if you are within, because of the single market, the data sets could be anywhere in Europe. And this is one benefit, and this is one added cost to the UK economy, because right now the UK is sovereign, is outside the EU, but basically it has to actually handle this cost on their own. Where if we were in the EU, the capacity to store these data sets elsewhere would provide better collaboration. And you could actually potentially merge this data, because then you could look at pan-European attitudes and you can work with. So isolationism is playing a game here. And the problem with AI is the less data you have, the less capable is your AI platform. So that's why Americans are launching first in the US, because they've got 300, 400 million people to train these data sets before adding another 400 from Europe or wherever else in the world. So selection is dictated by legal and cyber risk management. Non-sovereign public cloud approach deemed strategically unsound. A data cloud adoption is an issue of strategic resilience. So here we can actually look at this. So the foundational difference between legacy reporting of the modern customer intelligence approach represents a paradigm shift in how organizations leverage data of business value. So what we have here is traditional versus modern approach. So here what we have is attribute, goal focus on one side, data scope, time horizon, key output, and core value. And then we have the traditional commerce, business intelligence data, and then we have the customer intelligence via data cloud. So the first one is goal focus was, retrospective reporting of what happened. Okay, so it says, somebody is actually, a ball hits your head, what happened? Now, in real time, potentially you could actually have sensors to see I'm just trying to make an example here, have sensors to see the ball coming, and then having a prediction of its trajectory, and then have an action to avoid it. Because, if you have your mind into it, if you don't pay attention and you're completely out of the loop and you're not, in real time, then you get hit and you say, what happened? So the difference here is what will happen? What should we do now? Then the data scope is siloed, structured transactions on one side, sales, orders, inventory, everything is sitting in the nice, pretty silos, and they don't communicate with each other. They don't inform each other. Where on the other side, you have unified, stratified 360-degree view, transactional, behavioral, emotional, contextual with many dimensions. So it's 4, 5, 6-dimensional, giving you an understanding of what's going on, or as opposed to be siloed and unproductive, let's say. At the time horizon, lacking indicators, batch processing. So you do a processing now, produce result, processing now, produce result. And in between that, there is intervals during processing, where real-time activation and immediate insight and ingestion is the one that gives you results every minute, second. So the interval time still is there, but it's, processing time is, I don't know, a minute, could be a day, as opposed to being 6 months. That is much better, and you can actually term this as you can term this as real time. And then we have key output, performance dashboard, static reports, next spec offer, hyper-personalized experiences, operational efficiency and historical accuracy is one, but on the other one, revenue lift, sales growth, you have greater value, okay, and then competitive differentiation. That came from Data Cloud Economy marketing presentation, and you can see that as part of your library in a Google Classroom when this video is going to be released. So Data cloud represents, so from cost center to revenue generator. So enterprise data investment must now be assessed in terms of its modernization potential. So here what we can see on the top is all about data return on investment. So it's not about having data and AI. It's how you can create a return on investment, how you can create a value from this. So so it's data product return and data downtime and data investment. Then we have data investment, people plus system. Then you have data product return, value data product in dollars or pounds or whatever, operational, customer facing, and then data downtime, number of incidents X, average time to detect and time to resolve. So here, all these are putting the equation, which actually determines how productive is your department, your company, and maybe your sector, if you're looking at it from a national perspective. So then the economic definition of this ecosystem includes categories beyond simple operational data barter. Okay, so how you can use this data, you can sell this data, you could actually process them and create reports. And you will see it from Gartner, big companies, Accenture, etc. They do that because they have got all these huge data sets and then actually utilizing them to provide consultancy and support. Partial data barter or data as a service, okay, or secure data sharing, commercialization of proprietary, okay, apologies, I cannot pronounce this no matter how many times I try, anonymized in size. And this is how you go about it with these data assets. And then, of course, financial justifications of CFOs. This reclassifies data infrastructure investment from an unnecessary cost center to a potential resource of direct revenue. So the data becomes another revenue generator. So here what we have is the assessment. We have the legacy systems, which is, you see the orange how do you say space between this graph, and then we have the data cloud architecture, which is the blue. And you can see in terms of market risk, customer attrition, regulatory exposure, operational efficiency, and data security vulnerability, the legacy systems are losing. And this is why, and especially when you look at data security. I mean, we had our university having own data centers that they were running, obviously inefficiently, because they weren't on cloud, they weren't using proprietary infrastructures like Microsoft and Google, because they wanted to keep them and minimize their exposure from private companies, minimize risk, because they felt that this was safer. But this didn't get any place. 1 second, I have something beeping here and just upsetting me. So yes, so this is we're looking at competitive disadvantage, customer experience degradation, regulatory non-compliance, and innovation stagnation. So here what we have is, for example, UWS had a cyber attack, and since then they moved into the cloud because the actual vulnerability is push them towards to choose to have non-proprietary infrastructures and use big organizational cloud infrastructures to actually be more secure. So this is something that you need to think about, especially if you're handling customer. And then when you have the customer datasets, which is customer 360, what, how, and the questions you ask is what, why, and how, because you have all this information. You have a 360-degree customer view. The customer exchanges, it tells the core function of it is to answer complex strategic questions, to help organizations truly understand customer and prospect desires. And then, of course, converting raw information into complete customer perspective by linking billions of data points across separate, disparate sources. And what does that mean? So, for example, you're in the sales, finance, you're trying to get all these data sets connected in order to understand one point of data sets for one customer, for one client. And then master data management, resolving and deduplicating core master data concerning prospects, customers, accounts, and allocations and transactions. And also another area is enterprise value proposition, which, again, as I said, why do we have AI? Because a lot of people say AI is great. Let's put AI. Look, I've got 20,000 tools of AIs. And that's what I'm saying is, the argument is not like how many tools you have. Which of the tools are useful? Why are they useful? How can you use it? And which data sets are going to be, and how you can make that more systematic rather than circumstantial. Okay, I'm going to take these AI awesome.ai.io, okay, or whatever they're going to call. And you have this also AI platform, which, from the title sounds nice. How do I use it? How do I make productive? How can I make money out of it? Okay, how can I make my life easier? Have more resources and stuff. So that's what I'm saying here is like people don't understand the cloud element, the data element. They just go with a name. They just go with the hype, and the hype is usually AI. So doesn't matter how many apps you have and how awesome they are and what the name they are. The question is how you can use them and extract value and make your workflow better. So this is the key element here, and behind it is the cloud element. So when you look at the cloud intelligent platform architecture, and the reason why I'm telling you this is important is because if you want to work with agents, you need to start understanding this. Because people think agents is like, go to AI, you talk to it, and that's an agent. It's not. An agent means that you take an element or a part of AI and you use this particular AI for the capabilities, the processing capabilities. This AI is a capacity to connect through using certain server spaces and cloud infrastructures, okay? So what we need is usually, when you develop agents, you need to look at MCP servers and how do you use them? Or you can use RAG protocols, which is a random access. So basically, is generating activities. The retrieval augmented generation, which is RAG, or model context protocol, which is MCP servers. So here what you do is the model context protocol allows you to connect your AI with specific services to do specific tasks. And that is one of the elements of having an agent, because you are able to actually connect to do a specific focused task and be independent. So you allow the AI with instruction, with training, with support to actually execute tasks independently of your, and then of course, you can go back and see the result and you can engage with them and do it. But the retrieval augmented generation RAG is it's an LLM prompt with relevant information from static knowledge base to improve accuracy. Primarily used for passive information retrieval and text generation, not for executing actions. And relatively simple for basic setups, but it can become complex with larger data volumes. And it's all more about question answering systems. Chatbots provide factual information summarization. So these are the ones. And there's another one, which is the API calls, which is perform efficient, predetermined task with fixed data, offers high performance, low latency execution for specific predefined actions, requires custom one-off integrations for every external tool, and simple web services, internal automation, high frequency, low latency tasks. So the reason why I mention this is because in order to actually utilize AI, you really need to think about your libraries. You cannot have AI to say, make me an amazing, do my job, enter, and to do your job, I need to know what your job is. You need to give me a library of your job. You need to give me instructions what to do with the job. But all this is data. Where this data will be found? Are you going to be writing every time you need data? I mean, if this is a systemized task, it needs to go into a factory format because it needs to become, frequent, and it needs to be triggered. So how do you do all these things? And this is people forget that when you're going to AI to do a task, this is unproductive in terms of now, because right now you have agents. So what you do is you answer the question with these agents, and then you develop this framework. You can see this framework here. In terms, let's take it from a marketing perspective, and let's look at the customer data platform process. Okay, simple one. Data collection, data unification, data activation. So this is the trigger bit. The concept here is important because this is a very simple concept. Sorry, it's a very simple concept because it looks at 3 parts of the process. Okay, it's not very complicated, and it shows you how you can, the data activation. It could be email, mobile push, SMS, social, direct marketing, web. It could be any of the above going towards the customer. And on the other side, the data collection. It could be CRM, digital, corporate registry, billing, marketing. And then, that goes into some form of unity, analytics, which is the data lake, okay, and AI. Analytics is the real-time data lake. Now, you can use your Google Analytics if you have that as a term of value, and that will go to AI, and AI will be operationalizing these in order for output. And this is the concept of agency. Because agency is not like some super intelligence mini you that does the work. It's a framework. It's a part of an AI platform that does the operation here, and it needs some analytics. It needs some data. If you don't customize it and systemize it, then every time that something comes from there, the connection between that part and that part and that part of the process is manual. So it's better to do it yourself. Why using AI to do it? I mean, to write a better email, maybe, to be more specific and count the word count for the character count for SMS. I don't know why would you do that manually, but generally, if this process is manual in between, then okay, you are semi-efficient, you are semi-using the capacities of AI, and this is not agency. Agency means I go away and it does the job, and then I come back and I give it feedback, and then it improves the next job when I give feedback. That's it. So if you don't do that, it's not agentic. Whoever shows you something like that requires manual output to complete the process, a complicated process that takes things from A, processes them, and then to B. Okay, and you have an outcome and a work done. If that's not the case, then basically what it is like they use AI and they do everything else manual. So it's not agents. So master data management, enterprise value proposition, it's important. By unifying and cleansing more core master data, the platform reduces operational friction and ensures consistency across the entire customer 360 life cycle. The cross-department perspectives, the resultant data purity allows the CI platform to tailor perspectives and seamlessly across sales, service, and marketing departments. So it is important. And here is another version of this, okay? So let's say, so here what we have is, let's look at it from the more office perspective. We have files, applications, objective storage, and API functions. These are applications that you have within the ecosystem. Here we have, for example, an API is Banner, the one that handles your identity, which is separate to everything, doesn't talk. So all these have to communicate it, and then we have a leader node, we have a compute node, a node slices, databases, computer node 2, and then all these are doing all the processing. We have a leader node on the top, so these are agents. And these are performing certain tasks and refine the data. And then what they do is you have consumption through processing, which is BI, business intelligence, and visualization. So you have all these pretty dashboards and applications. You can talk to the data. And there are even more, impressive ways to put this. But let's find another way to divide it. So on one side, we have Snowflake and Databricks. Proprietary managed platform optimized by SQL analytics. This was our universities before the cyber attack. And this is the universities after the cyber attack. So they got rid of the data center, and they now work with minimal exposure there. Maybe they use it for, for storing long-term data or archives, etc. It's like a cabinet down in the basement, sort of content. Approach. But in the past, they used to have SQL analytics, and these were resident in their data center. But here, what they have is the Databricks. Separate storage and compute, unified lakehouse for analytics and AI. Everything lives in the cloud, and everything gets processed there and then. And you have real-time analytics. And here is the benefit. So the Snowflake is proprietary managed environment, optimized for SQL basic analytics, separate storage and compute. Databricks is unified environment and analytics, streaming and AI. Excel's data science and machine learning, and handles structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. So basically, it learns from the process. It auto renews its processing. It happens real time, and it receives real time data. So basically, data and processing happens in real time. Processing with AI, data lake, and a collection of data and analytics is the other. So we have the governed collaboration framework. Its critical differentiating factor is the 2025 data cloud platforms is intensified the focus on governed collaboration and openness. This ensures secure and compliant sharing sensitive data while enabling strategic partnerships. So here what we have is business strategy and data strategy. We have enterprise governance, we have oversight alignment, we have key data enablement, and we have the process of defined data accountability, knowledge and common and understanding data assets, trust in confidence and traceable data, improved data return on investment and reduced data depth, and the support of ethical use of data in data-driven culture. And what we have here is a title of ownership, operating model, policy procedure, data literacy and culture, enterprise data management, enterprise project services, data privacy and security, data leadership, and data ownership and stewardship. So, and of course, this is the new governed collaboration framework. So basically, this is not just processing data. This is about connecting data, having access to data, have protocols, security protocols, have privacy protocols, and that creates a new request. Because when you are a marketer, and I'll give you an example. We have a KTP that with a kilt house, with the kilt makers, and in Houston, which is right next to the university as you come to the front entrance. And this kilt shop will have a lot of volumetric data. Now, this is an excellent resource for us to analyze because we can actually make predictions of customers, and we can look at trends, which volumetric size is the most popular, so therefore to order more of fabric or tailor fabric to that volumetric size instead of the other. And but in order to do that, this is a very, very sensitive data. We need to anonymize it. We need to create a protocol around it to actually ensure, because if somebody's coming in for GPTR issues and say, is this data set separate from that data set? So basically, is the data set of volumetric size, etc., with the order, not connected with the name and the address? And then how do you do that? But how do you retain that if you want to do it on the marketing department? How do you create a silo around it? And how you can create trust that this is what you do with the customer? Because the customer won't want to use that. So, and you can see here that, trails and although you have cloud and all this data, I mean, you can end up having a situation where this is not a productive operation because the customers don't want it. And then here what we have is the traditional model, the traditional approach to actually the whole process, which is the customer data platform, CDP, okay? And we have a traditional data platform and the data cloud. So here we have primary focus, market specific, enterprise wide, data integration, behavioral data capture, a unified customer 360 view, activation, marketing channels, all customer touch points, the department served, marketing versus sales and service, and then limited with foundations and agents. So what we see here is a more independent and more fluid and a more evolving process than being fragmented, market specific, behavioral data, marketing channels, marketing, and it's limited, okay, as we see on the one side. So Data Cloud is designed specifically for enterprise-wide real-time customer personalization at scale, serving as the unified data layer of the entire 360 view. Furthermore, we're coming to the agents, and this is an important topic because so far we covered cloud and how the cloud interface is important, and how the cloud interface serves the topic area, and of course how underestimated it is in comparison to AI that's been hyped. Basically, all agentic element of the AI, because we hear it a lot, is all about isolating elements of the AI platform, the bigger LLM infrastructure. And I'm saying LLM because LLMs are the input device. It's the keyboard, it's the mouse, as we said. And behind there is an AI framework that processes things and gives you the answers. And then, of course, in order to have a conversation, there is a training about the conversation and how to answer and say things and respond in certain situations. And how do you say, certain circumstances. But on the other hand, as the LLMs developed and the AI platforms developed, now they're looking at multimodal data, they look at text, audio, images, and they process this all through a kind of library. So the concept right now of data lakes started connecting, and that gives birth to the next category. And that's the category that AI agents are belonging to. And the reason why we're talking about AI agents, because AI agents are very isolated, focused tasks. So basically you take a work task, and you break it into smaller components, and you find these components which are complicated, certain systematic decisions that need to be taken within this workflow, and you take that workflow and you give it to the agent, and independently the agent is doing the work. There's no prompting. There's the difference between that you see with the LLMs, which is like chatbot, and you just talk to the chatbot. Because somebody asked me the other day, why not using just AI and why do I need agents? And I said, agents are independent. You use them, you train them in advance, you actually perfect the performance on a task, and then you deploy them. And when you deploy them, you can leave them and go. So for example, I can go away and create my slides like that, and while I'm teaching, and then when I return back, the slides are ready. But I've already given the information, give the task, give the libraries, direct it where to get the information, explain exactly how the project breaks, potentially give it a direction or a previous slide or a smaller set of slides. Actually, I'm giving you an example here. So here what you have, AI agents will make a very finite task, very focused, very niche, and they do it independently. So basically you train them in advance, and then they repeat the task. And this task can be automated, systematic, basically have a trigger. Every time I receive an email, this happens. Every time there's a notification in the system, this happens. Every time an email comes with a specific request, this happens, as opposed to that request, then I have another agent that gets activated. So this is the way that this happens. And of course, we can see now, as I started analyzing what agents are and how they can be deployed, how can they become relevant? So for example, AI agents in customer service. You can have customer 24/7 support. You can have virtual assistants. You can have chatbots. You can have sentiment analysis. So basically watching on social media 24/7 and developing real-time reports that feeds on a dashboard, which is to the CEO of the company or to the management team to see what is the sentiment analysis. And then analytical forecasting. So basically based on analysis on different types of dashboards, and whether they are asynchronous or synchronous, or whether they are from real-time data or interval data, all grouped together, fine-tuned by AI, and then delivered and deployed through a dashboard. That is a way where an AI agent can do this, and it can be set to perform this task. So that takes us from simple customer interaction that's responsive to certain metrics to intelligent customer interaction. These intelligent systems are explicitly mediating customer interactions, whether through voice calls, enhanced messaging channels, or unified messaging transcripts. So what we have here is the potential of developing on a different level. I'll give you a more advanced level that in a conversation that I had with a contact of mine in Accenture was that basically all the analytical real-time platforms that you see here are fed into user profiles. And they create 4 prominent user profiles that they feed them onto. They put an AI framework on each one, and then basically name it the profile, make it representative, put an avatar, and then use this real data set to actually interview the avatar. So basically that avatar is feeding of real-time data of specific consumer group. So basically you are doing a qualitative interview on an avatar that of an agent that is fed of real-time data that comes from a specific set of profile, and you can actually interview this in a qualitative way and explore the trends by having a conversation with it. Now imagine this is a data set, this is a synthetic avatar that represents this user profile, and then the marketer can actually interview that user profile, the agent, the synthetic entity, to actually get the information which is representative to the whole trend area, the whole real-time data of this consumer group, which is... You don't need to understand this. If I confused you, I'm happy to explain that in class, but generally this is an understanding of how today this can get more advanced and more detailed. So yes, intelligent consumer interaction, we have human AI collaboration, we have operational consequence. So basically this crucial link solidifies the data cloud's position as a core operational system and a necessary utility, and not merely an analytical repository. So this is not just dumping data into a bucket. This bucket is intelligent. This bucket knows how to refine, fixes the data sets, make sure you have a special AI. You could have an AI agent just make sure that all the data are A, compatible, and B, comparable, and C, free of noise and waste. Sometimes data sets have these types of inconsistencies in them. And then, of course, critical data requirements, real-time, high fidelity, high data delivery. And this is one of the conditions for these types of data sets today to be relevant to larger organizations and well-equipped. And then another concept, which is the unified data layer. The data cloud acts as the unified data layer for the entire customer 360 view, bringing together data from multiple sources, applying AI models, and activating insights across all departments. So here, we're not looking just the marketing department, because what's the point of having sales when you know what's the profit, okay? And in order to find out the profit, you need to calculate your other costs. There are fixed costs that, of course, you could actually sort of make out and every time and deduct it from your sales. But there's variable costs, and there's now costs that come from industry, from prices, from things that happen in the environment. These are costs that weren't there before, and they're fluctuate, they're not fixed, they're not predictable. So how do you go about this? And one way to go about it is to just silo this and just make separate calculations. Again, you go back to interval data, or you can actually group them together and interconnect them. So basically find a way to actually develop relationships between them in order to become meaningful, because then real time you could actually achieve calculations that are really helpful and you and your users and whoever is using the system to interpret. And we can see here some examples of customer intelligence 360 datasets. And here what we have is customer identity level, viewed media, customer attributes, conversion, promotions, goals, errors, session data, cart interactions, downloads, visits, pages, details, products viewed, form, search. All these are analytical. You can find them in Google Analytics, or you can set them up from the analytical platforms. Then you have mobile app, mobile marketing, external systems, then direct marketing, customer journeys. This is from interaction data. Sometimes customer journeys is not only website or social media or cart or a database or e-commerce. They're also borderline with other areas, which is personal interaction, sales. You talk to a person. So this data, type of data, email marketing, web marketing, contact response, and external events. So all these are important. So, and all break into three different categories. First is the marketing touch points, with campaign optimization, audience segmentation, personalized content delivery across digital channels, sales engagement, prioritize leads, next best action recommendations. This is more fragmented, and this is more sometimes personal, because you could have a person that you need to interact with, which of course these are physical types of engagement data that you need to develop. And then customer service interaction, complete customer history, predictive issue resolution, etc. So here, these are some information that are important. And that brings us to two big concepts, operational system versus analytical depository. So what we have here is the data cloud serves as a foundational architecture for the next generation of artificial intelligence tools, often referred to as AI agents or agent force. Some people say it's the precursor for AGI and ASI and whatever names you will find, pretty names about this big scary Skynet beast that's going to kill us all. At least technophobes say that. So this positions a data cloud as a core operational system rather than merely an analytical repository. So basically go away from this dump of data which is completely unintelligent to the bucket being the intelligent being that sorts the data, that prepares them to actually engage. And so the data dump is the traditional data warehouse, primarily analytical, focused on historical reporting and batch processing with limited real-time capabilities, where the modern data cloud is core operational utility that powers real-time customer interactions, AI agents, and immediate decision-making. So, and here you find the different elements. So from the operational to analytical, you find the registry hub, the consolidation hub, the centralized transactional hub, and then the coexisting hybrid hub. And these are different options that, of course, have critical operational requirements. High performance, low latency data access, which means that low latency means that interval time that we said at the beginning is becoming smaller and smaller to become, non-important, because it's like, I don't know, fractions of a second, sorry. And then 99.99% availability with customer-facing systems. You don't have any downtime. Real-time data integrity and validation, seamless integration with AI agent workflows, and instant data synchronization across touchpoints. In order to achieve this type of performance, it's impossible to do it at an SME and develop or preserve and manage an infrastructure that produces these types of performance. So in order to do that, you need to go with either a big company like Microsoft if you are an SME, or you need to go with a big provider like AWS and Google Cloud to be able to do this. And most of the companies do this. But that's what I'm saying is like, this is the type of performance that people are achieving right now, whether you are in the SME sector or not. In addition, we have real-time data harmonization, 5 ways AI-powered customer intelligence can transform banking and financial services. So here we see another example. So how you can start with efficient customer segmentation, smart product recommendations, then move on to faster documentation and checks on customer onboarding, then accurate aspect-based sentiment analysis, and then intelligent affinity analysis to see how this relationship works and how they can be leveraged and grown. One of the most immediate quantifiable benefits of migrating the data cloud is the automation of the criteria time-consuming data harmonization process. Marketing data is inherently complex and they're vast in quantity, living across numerous platforms and numerous silos in departments, and formatted in different dimensions. They're not compatible with each other. So basically the different data sets don't talk to each other. So what we have is the AI-powered automation. Modern marketing intelligence leverages integrated AI such as Einstein AI to automatically normalize, enrich, and extend marketing data. And then we have seamless data integration, pre-built connector libraries, and universal AI connectors, which allow rapid data ingestion and transformation, often achievable in just 3 clicks. So 41% of marketers' time previously wasted on low-value tasks can now be redirected to strategic initiatives, but just doing this. So instead of actually trying to connect and make relevant data and analysis and reports and understand the different discrepancies in the system that create these gaps and silos, and lack of automation provides no help for translating data. That happen automatically, especially with agents, and by deploying an agent to just do this transformation across the board, or maintain that this data lake is up to date, and allows you to understand more the process. And of course, you can release this resource and just focus it in another task. So here is the market intelligence powered by Data Cloud, leverages integrated AI to overcome the challenges of a complex, time-consuming data harmonization process. There is the 3-click data connectivity. Pre-built connector libraries and universal AI connectors allow rapid data ingestion from multiple sources. So here you can see it on the consumer side, because this is also on ChatGPT or Claude AI, etc. There is, if you go in the list down, you would see you are able to actually connect to your Google Drive or your Google account ecosystem, or the Azure one, which is the Microsoft. But also you can go and connect to other tools like that. To just tap in that resource and be able to use it as an agent. Basically can do whatever Canva can do. You can actually extract it and you can use this third-party platform, or you would actually tap in the repository system and connect the data sets that you have stored there. Similarly, it works with other data sets within an organization, departments, or maybe ally organizations that you working together in the market towards common goals, and you share data sets. Also, we have automated data transformation. AI automatically normalizes, enriches, and extends marketing data by seamlessly incorporating data from unified first and third-party sources. So this is another way to just normalize data. And as we said, this happens, but this is a more complete picture of how this can happen. And then, of course, we have a continuous insight generation, and that 41% reduction in time. Marketers waste on low value tasks through AI-powered automation. So here, that 41% is now released to do other things and other tasks, marketing orientated. So I'm trying now to move forward. Then there's another thing which is all about data quality excellence. So as we can see in the diagram, is in order to have data quality excellence, we need to actually have best practices on how to manage data. The necessary to support sophisticated AI pipelines creates a powerful internal pressure to improve data quality across the board. The deployment of robust machine learning models is unforgiving of silos and inconsistency. So you need to see AI as a data quality catalyst. The AI adoption is forces us to finally practice best standards we've been talking about for a long time. This phenomenon means that the data cloud projects is inherently a driver for elevated internal data maturity, which means that cloud needs to actually promote accuracy and data compatibility, as we said earlier on. There needs to be also proactive data governance. To capitalize on AI's capabilities, the enterprise must proactively unify the structure of the data sets, making data cloud investment a catalyst for corporate data excellence. It's important to actually create a governance that provides both the assurance, the security, privacy, but of course all the protocols required for you to trust this. And then of course one of the biggest things is, how do you know it's trustworthy? How do you know this data set, what it says in the tin? And the center of an excellence model, organizations implementing data cloud typically establish data quality centers of excellence to spread practices to ensure consistent standards across a board. Thing that is important is looking at precision segmentation capabilities, because as a marketer, you have all these data sets, you have all the real-time interactions on the website, on the commerce, etc. But how do you segment this? Now, think about this. Now and the next 2-3 years, we're going to see generations change attitudes and change life stages. So, for example, the Generation Z will become more married. They're going to have more kids, etc. They're going to start progressing from, level. They're going to become managers, okay, mid-level. But they're going to change. They're going to have changes in the salary. There's going to have an impact in how they buy and how they prefer things. And this is how they're going to be device. So when we're going to have changes in the data sets, we need to follow the data set and this journey. And data comes in, we need to follow these changes and provide the trend line. Because if you do that, the segmentation capacity will break. Because so far, in the past, in old marketers, 80s, 90s, and millennium, people were doing interviews and surveys. And this is how they were discovering the new group formations and what is the change or whatever. And they were doing it every 6 months or every year. How back, much money they had because it was very expensive exercise. So now that interval is going like day by day through analytical systems that are real time, as we said. So having that real time, and then of course, if you store it and you're trying to classify it and archive it, you really need to relate it to the previous version, historical data, where it becomes old and becomes historical data. But you need to be able to actually have a mechanism to make it, to create a relationship between historical and real-time data. And of course, have a relationship with the forecast data, because now that we have all this capacity to store, we can use historical and real-time data to forecast things based on certain conditions. We can create a kind of simulation. So in order to do that, we need to create a segmentation and precise segmentation capabilities. So here this time it shows you about the outbound and inbound, the customer decision hub, request, reply, that's an example, standard communication. We have optimized offers that you can happen on different mediums, from chat to emails to mobile telephone, optimization orchestration, and of course action rules and insights that you put into the customer decision hub. So that possibility for individual identification, recognize and respond to the same customer across multiple device channels and interactions with consistent personalization. This is borderlines to that's how we start going to hyper-personalization of interaction with a customer. And then of course real-time audience creation, dynamically build and update audience segments based on behavioral triggers and contextual data. So basically what I want to do and what I am interacting and I'm giving you as feedback, whether it's online, on social media, whether it's on the website, whether it's through the mobile phone, whether it's through the chat, and time there is a response on this. And cross-channel activation, seamlessly deploy segmented audiences across email, social display, web, and mobile touchpoints with consistent messages, which actually creates an evolution of the system. So the best action framework is a precision intelligence that targets effectively via the right channels at the right time. So here what we have is breadth and depth, proven AI, ML, trusted and elastic, and you're flexible. If we don't want to say elastic, it could be confused with economic terminology. So breadth and depth is most personalized customer use cases. AI ML is true actionable AI ML omni-channel orchestration. Localization is about executing brand strategy locally with flexibility. Trusted is trusted consumer delivery framework for fast ROI. And then, of course, elastic, truly SaaS as a service solution with 360 customer view. So here what we see is like all these and all these cloud capabilities and creating an approach. And you would say that, I don't know whether the approach exists, or whether it's feasible. And I can tell you this right now, as I can assure you that this exists online. I can show you in a very older version of my, and I can show you this presentation, different cases, like for example, Netflix. All these, I'm actually outlining what is on Netflix, on Amazon, what is on the channel, what is on and is on the different biggest services that this type of level of interaction. So these are the components they are working with. And this is how they update, because this is how Netflix know what you like with your feedback. This is how knows with projects are hot in this consumer category. So human-machine collaboration, the content engines in the future merges human-machine capabilities, allowing the machine component to make autonomous decisions that actively manage customer journeys. Real-time decision-making, next best action systems analyze customer behavior in real time to determine the optimal interaction, offer, or message at each touch point. And of course, contextual intelligence, because it's all about contextualization. Decisions incorporate not just customer history, but current context, emotional state, environmental factors to deliver truly personalized experiences. As I said, move is all about hyper-personalization. And see the hyper-personalized scale. You can see here from this graph, we can see the increased revenue, loyalty, and conversion rate and customer satisfaction. You can see that generic marketing in a gray middle, you can find basic personalization. Happened in the, let's say, in the last decade, and then this is hyper personalization that happens right now with cloud infrastructure and AI capabilities. So the transition from mass marketing to granular personalization hinges entirely on the fidelity and immediacy of customer intelligence. This is the data. So if it's not accurate, create a very, very complex failure project, because all this has to happen segment by segment. This is a kind of digital transformation project, and you need to train, test, deploy. Okay, and between there's going to be debug, there's going to be troubleshooting. They need to fix things. So, and when you get to that stage that AI is able to learn from data and able to adjust things as it goes and be flexible and elastic, as we said, in types of trends and changes, then you are moving to something that is really valuable and really strong with a 360-degree view and customer or client intelligence and marketers to identify individuals across all digital touchpoints and deliver most relevant, timely offers. Now, there is 40% gives usually, and this data came from platforms that are using this. There's a revenue increase, revenue generated by personalized customer experiences compared to generic non-targeted approaches. And then, of course, 80% customer readiness of customers are ready to share personal data in exchange for deals or offers when personalization provides value. The key benefits of the real-time personalization is real-time customer journey optimization, cross-channel experience consistency, increased customer engagement and loyalty, and higher conversion rates and average order value. So we're looking at the marketing intelligent automation. Need to actually the continuous campaign performance optimization through automated insights and real-time decision support. And there are some issues to take, like reduced marketing waste, automated identification and underperforming campaigns and channels allows us for immediate budget reallocation, higher performing initiatives. Before we're doing that real-time by looking at real-time data, having no historical data, because this data were coming and going and they couldn't be stored or utilized. Now with AI, you can use that and you can forecast on the go. So basically, not only you could actually adjust your performance on the problem now with real-time data, you could actually provide with kind of estimation of what could be the best alternative and give you suggestions. Of course, you can increase your market ROI every time you use real-time performance monitoring and have AI-driven optimization and recommendations. This gets you to the next level up of maximizing efficiency and, of course, getting more return back time you do that. And then strategic time allocation. By allocating routine data tasks, marketers can redirect their focus to creative strategy and customer experience innovation. And you could actually dive in deeper to actually create better systems. So basically, you can put more expertise in it. Now, as you can see here, this is traditional marketing, data-driven marketing, last decades marketing, and then AI-enhanced marketing. And you can see the growth there in terms of return on investment. Also, the evolution or the future of marketing activation is looking at autonomous systems powered by predictive and prescriptive analytics. We haven't talked about it yet. We talk about, real-time data and historical data. Here, we're looking at potential autonomous systems powered by predictive analytics. What happens as things happen, as crises happen, as things changing in the market, and as you go and you do that, you all of a sudden have a change and you need to respond. It's not only that you have the historical data, the real-time data, and trying to actually a better performance in terms of decision making, because you can take a decision based on both. We're looking at these data sets, being able to provide a better understanding of the scenario that you are experiencing at this time, and actually provide you with an alternative and a decision on the go. So basically, what you can do is you are able to develop a response while the crisis happens but also not only just by responding to the data set you have, but having an option of different scenarios and as you go forward. So predictive analytics move beyond historical analysis to forecast customer behaviors, preferences, etc. before they occur. Okay, that's what I said. Either it's happening as you go, but also we have a predictive analysis that helps you foretell what's going to happen. Prescriptive analytics, advanced AI system that not only predict outcomes by recommending specific actions, but optimize those outcomes across all customers. So it's not about predicting one thing, but also generalizing it and across the board with a customer base. And then autonomous decision making, marketing system that can independently adjust campaigns, content, and channel mix in real-time performance data and customer insights. Now, somebody in marketing will be scared and say, "Oh my God, I'm going to lose my job," but this has been happening in PPC campaigns. The PPC campaigns have been getting smaller since 2015, and they were integrated into the platform. So basically, the platform, you could actually train the platform to take decisions for a number of weeks, and then you expand these decisions for over a period of 2-3 months. Now, as AI becomes better, this decision making is going to become more independent. And we can see here the percentage of marketing decisions that have been changing over time: human decision making, AI assisted decision making, and then autonomous decision making. And as you can see, this is changing all the time. So let me see if I can go in for another one. Yep. Okay, we go. So maybe, yeah, that one. So now, last and not least, the ROI foundation is really important, because when you're working with a specific platform, is you need, what we said is you use AI, but why do you use AI? Do you use AI to say, look, I have all these applications. I've got 200 applications that I can give you right now. The question is, how do you use these applications and how do you place them in the workflow, and what is the value? What is the return on investment? So here you need to put a return on investment. So here I'm going to show you the AWS Cloud Value Framework. A good friend of mine, Nick from Accenture, gave me this, and this is a very good guy. Good guide, not good guy, but he's a good guy, but he's a very good guide. So first of all, you look at cost savings. What is it? Infrastructure cost savings, avoidance from moving to the cloud. So analysts benchmark 20% reduction on IT infrastructure costs as percentage of revenue. So here you start attributing savings as you go across the board. Then staff productivity, what is it? Analysts benchmark 66 increase in virtual machines managed per server admin. Then operational, what is it? Benefit of improving service and reducing unplanned outages. Then analyst benchmark 69% the reduction to scheduled or a usual downtime. So basically here we see the ROI as not only measured in in a profit margin, it's also looking at efficiencies, and about performance indicators and better performance, productivity. Here is business agility, for example, deploying new features, applications faster, reducing errors, and then 43 reduction in time to market for new application features. And then sustainability, what is it? Minimizing environmental impact of operations, 88% reduction in workload to carbon footprint. Everything has to be put onto specific targets so as to actually allow company to respond and provide a better performance. And of course, you as a person theorizing this and proposing these types of changes, you need to be able to actually peg it into something. And these are the KPIs that usually are looking. And then, of course, personalization ROI, everybody's looking for this. And I can tell you right now is revenue lift and cost savings, which divided by the total investment you're going to put forward. So revenue lift is increased conversion rates, higher average order values, improved customer retention, and explained share of wallet. When cost savings are reduced market waste, operational efficiencies, automated workflows, and lower customer acquisition costs. And then total investment is technology, infrastructure, data integration, talent acquisition, and ongoing maintenance costs. So power here is of the personalization that is powered by Data Cloud delivers measurable revenue impact. Research confirms that personalized customer experience generates significantly higher returns than generic approaches. So we're looking at 40% more revenue generated, while 2,000 and beyond ROI achieved. And I know it looks stupid or stupendous to have something like that as a metric, but we saw that 1,000% as achievable by the time that we had analytics, and we could actually use predictable data that were real time and were able to be focused on a real time campaign. And 1,000% was achievable, but this even jumps further and provides a better performance ratio. But also we have basic, simple name personalization, broad segmentation to 100 and 200% class, and then intermediate behavioral targeting, multi-channel coordination, 500 to 800 ROI. So that brings it down for mature programs. Financial returns from AI-powered personalization can be truly exceptional. Companies achieving advanced marketing personalization have seen returns qualified beyond the 2,000 ROI, equating to $20 earned for every £1 spent. And here is the return of marketing investment, for example, revealing an average of £19 uplift, 19% uplift. That's their OMI uplift. The continuous optimization, AI systems continuous learning from customer interactions, improving targeting accuracy, customer interaction improving over time without manual intervention. And then scale without compromise. So AI enables personalization at scale that would be impossible to achieve manually, maintaining quality while expanding reach. So that gives us to the cost savings, because ROI being off the charts, saving analysis reveals that there is a greater merit in integrating this into your system. So basically what you have integration, which actually was in terms of time, week data input was one of the biggest bothers in the organization. We can see here in this diagram that's now the smallest after data cloud hours per week. The same thing with marketing operations, campaign management. As I remember, we've told you in the beginning of this video, this was a bother when we were back in 2000, beginning of 2004, 2003. We were working with Excels, now we don't. Analytics and reporting, were manual initially, that became real-time with Google Analytics, and then with AI-powered 2015 and onwards. And then customer segmentation, was a problem in the past. Right now you can do it, but just watching real-time analytics evolve. So we're looking at marketing task automation, data integration and efficiency, and campaign optimization. And this is where you get the cost savings by utilizing this approach. Also, there is competitive analysis made. Beyond the revenue and cost savings, the data cloud creates sustainable competitive differentiation through customer intelligence that competitors can or not easily replicate. Depending on your growth and your position in the market, and depending your early adoption, you are able to actually this up and competition aboard beat the industry average. You can see here from the slides that you can create market differentiation. Organization with advanced customer intelligence capabilities can respond to market changes 3 times faster than competitors relying on traditional data approaches. Customer experience leadership. You can be a leader in the market by leading consumer experiences. Companies with unified customer data deliver consistent experiences across channels, resulting 30% higher customer satisfaction scores compared to industry average, and larger penetration on new customer segments. And then, of course, innovation acceleration. Data cloud adopters report 2.5 faster time to market for new products and the services due to improve customer insights and feedback loops. And of course, as we said before, prediction models, are more accurate and more based on information. And then there is the implementation. This is not a very easy thing to do, a very easy task, but an assessment strategy, evaluate data maturity, define business objectives, and select appropriate data cloud. Architecture is not the same for everyone. Every company has different footprint and fingerprint than others, and you need to make out what is this before you in and suggesting approach. Foundation building, implement core infrastructure, establish data governance framework, and develop master data management capabilities. And then, of course, data integration and unification. As we said before, unification is very important. Connect data sources, build automated pipelines, and create unified customer profiles. And then finally, we have intelligence activation. Deploy AI models, implement real-time personalization, and enable cross-channel activation. So how do you activate intelligence? Saying that you're using AI doesn't mean that you are getting there and you're using it. Fact that you have AI platforms and the fact that you're deploying it just to say we have AI in one department doesn't mean that this is efficient and productive. So what you need to do is you need to first unleash your data potential, drive measurable growth, because this needs to be connected with growth, because if you're not growing, then what's the point of doing it? Then I believe the eternal of every marketer will be to be a growth hacker, especially after the invention of internet. It's all about managing growth. You are a growth hacker and you need to push forward. And then of course you need to secure a competitive edge. Building an agile, future-proof infrastructure for unparalleled customer engagement, market differentiation is going to be an important thing in the future. So, this long presentation, I should say that there are two different presentations that you will see. The one is the simple. This is what it is, the cloud. This is how it works with digital marketing. And this is the case studies for you. But for those that want to dive deeper, and you will ask me, why would I want to dive deeper? You want to dive deeper because digital marketing, digital transformation now delivered mainly from marketers. We are the sector that gets digitally transformed first. We are the ones that we are working with more real-time behavioral data with cloud infrastructure. And then we are the ones that use this cloud infrastructure to grow. So basically, the justification why digital transformation is not a business function for somebody that works on management is a job marketer, because we are the spine, we are the nerve system of the organization. And this video here is the most, and that's where I'm going to put it on Google Classroom. This is the more advanced. This is a layered approach. This is the easy presentation that we could actually through, but if you want to dive to the most detailed and the most complicated stuff, this is the one. This is as far as you will take it. This is what happens right now. And the case studies that you would see on the easy presentation and the easy video, you will find out that these case studies, Netflix, all the infrastructure, YouTube, all the others, all these cloud infrastructures and etc., all these are working under this framework, and their improvement and the operation is this one. So if you want to work in one of those companies, then you need to understand this approach, because this is how they do it and this is how the marketing department works right now. So I'm happy to take more questions. We're going to have a debate in class, but I'll leave you with this right now. Thanks for watching, and any questions, please shoot them into the Google Classroom. Thank you.